Hello everyone, I'm Salih, welcome. I'm here with another video that I think you would love. I say that it's because I love that video. When I noticed that there's a problem over here, when I noticed that it was mind-blowing, and I said to myself, I should explain this. And I will start with a question and I will answer that question with another examples. In that video, you're gonna see different things. We will try to fix a problem. While fixing it, we will see where else it can be a problem over here. If you like those sort of videos, and if you like this videos especially, hit the like button. And if it's okay for you, please make your comment. It could be a question, it could be a feedback for me to improve myself, it could be anything related to video. It's because it's gonna help that channel to be recognized by YouTube and by the other audience like that. I'll cut it short, let's start the video. Okay, I have a question for you. What is the maximum item that you can have in any array in C#? Or what is the maximum length of array that you can create in C#? It doesn't have to be an array, but if your object uses an array, if your object is backed by array, you're going to have the same limit. What is the maximum limit? Okay, this is the question. I will have another questions for you, and then we will answer them all. Okay, this was the first question. What is the maximum length of item array that you can have in C#? Okay, let's start with some example. If you remember the last video I made within this channel, I mentioned about indexes and ranges. I'll show you an example. If I have an index, let's say index and new index. So I could basically say, this is the fifth, right? I am now defining an index and the index value is 5. It could be index 5. It could be a variable as well. What if that variable was long, not int? In that case, that index say, wow, wait. You gotta pass me an integer. It's because the value I accept is an integer, and there's a reason for that. The reason for that for index is because the index doesn't have any implicit converter, implicit operator from long to an index, but it has for integer. Why do you think it is? It is because there's a limit of item that you can have in any array in C#, and this is a good reason. It is because, I will come there, but I'll ask another question. If I say I have an integer value and I set the maximum value and any integer can have, right? What if I say I equal I plus 1? What do you think is going to happen? I already reached the maximum value that it can have. Now I'm trying to increase it one more. What's going to happen? I'll tell you, it's going to be like min value plus 1. It's because it is going to override itself and says, okay, this is the value I cannot have. So I need to reset myself to a minimum value and I increase it by 1. So once this line is executed, what you are going to have is this. What does it mean? So that means if you're overloading an integer value, it is going to have an integer value, but a minus integer value is because the minimum value starts from minus 2.1 billion or something. And then you're going to have minus 1.2.1. Blah, 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 billion plus 1. Okay. This caused some problems. Let's not forget about this one. I'll come back, but I'll show you an example. I have a binary search over here. It is very easy. You have a sorted array. You are looking for a key. If that array, let's say array, if that array has that key, as it is sorted, you can basically divide and conquer. You can divide it by 2 every time. Binary, you divide it by 2, and basically do a simple comparison. If your key is that over here, if it is smaller than your key, please get rid of all the other part of it. And now your array is half shorter or shorter a bit. And then do the same thing. Find the middle one and compare it with your key. If you're looking for, I don't know, 5, but the key is over that is 3, that means what you're looking for is after 3, right? So you need to forget about 1, 2, or 0, or something, something. Every time you find the middle, compare it. Find the middle, compare it. So you divide and conquer. It is very effective if you have an ordered list, ordered array, I can say. If you have an ordered array, you can use binary search. It's going to be effective. But how you find the middle might be a problem. Just look at over here. Start plus end. So where you're starting within that current array, to be able to find that middle point, you have a start and end point, so you can find the middle. So basically, the simple math. Add them up and then divide it by 2. But the problem over here is the same what we have here. What if one of those values are so close to the maximum value of an integer? So when I add them up, when I sum them, they override the index maximum value and it goes minus something. What happens if it is minus? So as this is a middle value of index, so this is going to be the index, so I will find the array indexed item in the middle item and I will compare. But if this item is lower than 0, then it's gonna less than 0, it's gonna throw an exception. Let's try that. So what I'm now, let me send it over here. What I'm now is sending a key over here, right? So if this key was not 13, but let's define a key, if not 13, but I don't know, something else. Sorry, by the way, that's my mistake. The array, so what we need to do is either, so this summation should be overriding the integer's maximum value, right? So what we need to do is set the start or end nearby to the end of the maximum value. So not the key. Sorry, my mistake. But let's say the array is a new integer array with capacity of, let's say capacity is 10 normally. So now I'm using capacity over here. So I should be able to create an array with that capacity, right? 10. I have 15 over here. But let's say this is integer max value. Maybe not max value, maybe max value minus 200, 100 grand, right? 100,000. So I should be able to set that capacity and array. So as I'm using length minus 1 over here, the end will be so close to its maximum value, maybe let's say 1000, right? So, and let's make it 1000 and debug this, okay? So now I'm starting the application. I'll debug that, okay? So in the first mid, the start is 0, but end is too big, so it's not going to override. So the middle is 1 million or something, or 1 billion, sorry. Now I'm trying to find if it is blah, 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 blah. Now I'm increasing the start. And for the next time, start now is 1 billion, but end is 2 billion something. So that is guaranteed. It's because mid plus 1. It's because now it's going to override that integer's max value and I will divide it by 2. It is still going to be minus something. So when we debug, if we hover the mouse over here, it says 536 million minus. But so now it's going to throw an exception by saying, okay, index was outside the bound of array. So it says, okay, I'm not able to access that item in that array. But it's a problem over here, right? There are solutions over here, but I'll just show you something. It is the same stuff over here. If you overload that integer, it goes minus. But is there any way? So I want to know if I'm overloading it. It's because it may be crashing your application. Maybe you're doing some financial stuff. It's going to let the balance maybe to go minus to plus. I don't know. Maybe it's going to cause a problem. In C#, there is a key check statement. If you're doing your job over here, let's say, if you do that summation here, now it's going to throw an exception. Let's debug that. It's because I say now it is the maximum value and boom. Arithmetic operation result in an overflow. So if you overflow that integer, for example, if you use that checked statement, it's going to throw an exception. This is sort of validation you might do. Okay, now let's get rid of that one. So that 1000 over here was intention. It doesn't have to be 1000, but it has to be something. It's because if I delete this, I will have another problem. So let's debug this. So my capacity is something, and that something is the maximum value. When I hit that, array dimensions exceeded supported range. So it says actually array has a maximum limit, and you're now trying to overflow that, whatever you do. The problem here is that arrays in C#, so as an answer to the question that I started the video with, is that there is a hard limit in C#, not hard limit, but there is a limit in C# that any array can be at maximum of a capacity. I will tell you what it is. Well, let me fix this problem first. If we come over here, we have two different solutions. So the first solution could be, I don't know, mid. Is it correct? Yes. So this is correct. By using the math, the power of math, you can do the same stuff, regardless what the start or end, how big they are. And when you subtract the start from end, you're going to have something small, and you can divide it by 2. Actually, let's pretend it that way. Now you're going to divide it by 2, and it is never going to be greater than integer's max value, right? So you can use the power of math. You can just test this. You're not going to have the same thing. It's because the bigger the start gets, or the bigger end gets, the bigger start gets, the lower, the smaller this will be, right? And also you're going to divide it by 2 and then sum it with, add up it to start. So the mid over here is not going to overflow. Let's do the same stuff, but let me get it back, 1000. So I'm going to skip this actually. So result, so start and end. Oops, sorry, my mistake. Shouldn't skip that. Okay, now get in. So the start is something, and this 2 billion something, and start is 0. So my mid is still 1 billion something. Now let's go. Now increasing the start. Okay, now the start and end both are 1 billion something, right? So this is 2 billion, this is 1 billion. So this is going to give me 1 billion, and I will divide it by 2. It's going to give me 500,000, and I'll add it to 1 billion. So it's never going to be overflow to integer. So my mid is still valid. So I can still check it, and I can still check it, and I do something, and it finishes. Okay, we've seen how we can validate that. We've seen how we can fix that, or I'll show you something quick. I'm going to copy that. If I do that, right shifting, this is what Microsoft uses actually. So in list, let's say you have a list over here, and within that list, so there's a binary search, or in array, binary search you have. Within that binary search approach, you're going to see what Microsoft does for that one. So this is what they're doing actually. They're doing the same stuff, but this is called bit shifting, and this is right shifting. Whatever you have on the left-hand side is going to right shift it. And when you right shift anything, it's going to divide it by 2 actually. It's going to generate the same result. If you want to see how bit shifting works, please let me know in the comment section below, so I will make another video. I'm not going to make this video too long by explaining this. There is one more thing we need to explain. What is the maximum length of any array in C#? So I said 1000 over here. What if it was 1? Let me run that application and see the exception. And the capacity, it still says array dimensions exceed their supported range. So it is not supported. What if it was 100? Let's say if it was 100, as you see, our array now has a valid stuff. What is the limit? So what is the key? What is the number if I put over here that doesn't fail, but If you increase it one more, that fails. For example, decrease actually. If it is 56, let's try. If it is 56, it doesn't fail. What if it was 55? See, boom. The limit is integer max value minus 56. If your array is bigger than that, it's gonna fail. Why it is 56? I'll mention there are a couple of ideas, but how do I know that as a programmer in C#? How do I know that if it is 56? Do I need to remember that? No, actually, it's because Array.MaxLength. So that Array.MaxLength is also giving you the right result. So if my capacity is max length, for example, let me try. As you can see, it worked. But if it was max length plus 1, it would fail. In the beginning of the video, I said if you're using an array or if you're using an object that's backed by array, you're going to have the same stuff. So what do I mean by that? So if you're using a list, for example, which backed by an array, so let's say L and new list. So the capacity over here, the length, the list is also accepting a capacity, and now I'm passing my capacity variable to it. When you're creating an array list, basically, it creates an array behind the scene. So whenever you work, you manipulate the data in list is manipulating the data in array, basically. So the rule is still the same. This is the maximum number of items that you can have in any item, in any array in C#. If you can't have that much item, maybe that much item in your array, that means you can't have that much item in your list. If you don't believe me, you can test. It's going to fail. And the exception is the same. It's because it is doing the same stuff. If you see the source code of the list, you can see that it is generating a new array with the capacity of whatever you passed over here. But if it was 56 or array.maxLength, that would be working, as you can see. There are a couple of, I couldn't find anything official with that one, but it may probably be because of object header. So when you create an object, it goes into memory, and in that memory, so it basically goes heap and array. In that heap, not only we have the object itself, but also we already have a few stuff that some sort of metadata of that object. If it is string, it has string metadata, shows each character is going to be 4-byte length, for example. If it is integer, if it is an object array, if it is a list, if it is something else, it really doesn't matter. How memory works is basically the object and also metadata. It could be one of the reasons. The other reason could be CLR, so command language runtime in C# might have a limit of maximum item. It's because as it is an object, it needs to work on that object. Maybe it is going to manipulate it. Maybe it needs to add some item to it. Maybe it needs to remove something for optimization stuff. Maybe it's going to hold that object in a different manner in that array, in that memory, for example. Maybe it's doing something. So CLR might be responsible for that. Maybe it is easier for CLR to work with that when it is not that big. So I don't know. If you know the answer, please let me know in the comment section below so I will learn. But there are probably a couple of stuff that is related to memory and how objects are kept in memory. Maybe, I don't know, if you have more than one item, more than one object in memory, maybe you need to give it some stuff, maybe for header, maybe for metadata. I don't know, but the limit is over here. So if you're going to create an array, the maximum number of items that you can have is that array max length, which is equal to integer max value minus 56. Maybe this 56 byte or 56 times 4 is the space that it needs. I don't know. But if you know, please let me know, as I just said in the comment section below. Okay, this is the validation. This is the limit of the array. This is the answer of that question I started with. And also, this is a nice approach of having a binary search and make it work. And this is also bit shifting. If you want to see more these videos, or any other videos, let me know in the comment section below. Write your comment, give me your feedback, hit the like button, subscribe the channel. I don't want anything else. Until the next video, happy coding.